Hello there, and greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I'm the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. Sorry, my throat was sore there, and I knew it was going to come out like a frog if I didn't do something. So we're here tonight, Thursday night, to do an episode of Not What We Hoped For. Or if you are one of those people out there who are technically more savvy than me, not what I hoped for, if that makes you feel better. Anyways, I'm here to do an episode, and the episode is, for those of you who have seen this show before, basically know what's going to happen. So I have an album here that I like a lot. Most of the time, these albums are ones. Sometimes there are twos, but for primary reasons, when I discovered these albums, they weren't quite what I hoped they would be. I was hoping that they would be like right up there amongst my favorite albums of all times. I had great ambition for them, I guess is the word to put it. So the album that we're going to talk about tonight is this one. Yeah, I still haven't listened to it. That's why the tag is on it. But not this copy anyways. I did have this album originally in vinyl, and I thought I had it in CD, and I actually may have had it in CD, but somebody else got a hold of it. So I didn't get it back. So anyways, this album I've been listening to for, God, it's got to be decades. So my Black Sabbath history is pretty straightforward. I got into Sabbath with Heaven and Hell, although I didn't know about them before that, but Heaven and Hell was the first album I owned by them. And I loved it. So I decided I would go back in history and start listening to some of their other stuff. So the next album I bought was Never Say Die, and I liked that one a lot. Then I had an opportunity to get the first 4 or 5, I think it was 5 of them. This, of course, is one of them. So I had the debut, Paranoid, Master of Reality, Volume 4, and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Sorry, just trying to keep myself from falling asleep here. So, there we go. So anyways, this was one of them. So those other 4 I mentioned all did very well with me, one after another. This one didn't do as well, and I often wondered why I felt that way about it. I think it's a little bit slower than the others. Production isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Maybe it's the songs. Wicked World is good. The Wasp is fantastic. The Wizard is good, and the debut song I never really kind of warmed up to, but it's a solid album. Of course, it could be that the album cover, which is very creepy in a lot of ways, kind of didn't sit well with me. But I'll tell you one thing, it has a lot of that Sabbath sound to it. It's a little melodical, it's dark, it's heavy. So it should, by acclaim, should be absolutely a masterpiece like the others, but it really never got there. And I'm thinking now that I got it again, if I put it in my playlist, maybe it will get there this time. But so it's always been a bit of a disappointment for me. It's never been exactly what I wanted. My least favorite of those original Sabbath albums. It's not like Sabotage or Technical Ecstasy, which are 2 albums that I never really quite followed at all. I never got to them. By the time I was ready to move out, I didn't really follow into those 2 albums. They weren't as easy to find as some of the others. I think the only reason that Never Say Die got found was because it just happened to be in that bin when I was looking for it, and that was the one I grabbed. So yeah, great album, but just missing something. At least to me, it feels like it's missing something. But there's always a chance that will change. Well, I'm really tired today. But for today, as good as this album is, I still think it's missing something and never quite measured up, or not really what I hoped it would be. So that's the album for today, Black Sabbath's debut. I hope you've liked this episode. If you want to comment about the album, you can do that in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. That's much appreciated. And of course, the notification bell so you don't miss this episode again. So this episode is bi-weekly, so it will come out again 2 weeks from now. I chose this album, and I want to reiterate this because some people, I think, are missing the point here. These albums are not albums I dislike. In fact, there would be no point to doing it if I disliked them. It would just be obvious why they didn't reach the level I wanted to. These are albums I like a lot, for the most part. Every album I've done on this I like a lot, but in my mind, they didn't quite reach the level that I had anticipated them reaching. That's all it is. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean I hate the album. Doesn't mean that I think it's garbage or anything like that. It wouldn't make much sense for me to do an album, say, oh, this album's garbage and I don't really know why why it didn't achieve what I wanted to. That's not what we're getting at. We're talking about albums that are just right there, but not quite where you wanted them to be. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We will see you next week and next week we're doing The Big Surprise again. That's a show that alternates with this. So we'll see you next week for that. Take care and have a good one. Goodbye.